Always great catching up with my next guest, Curtis Blaydes, who's coming off a big win at UFC 266 over Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Curtis, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, buddy. Appreciate you having me on the show, and yeah, happy to get the W against Jairzinho.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the performance in a second here, but we've been doing interviews for I don't know how long, since back to when you fought in RFA. I think it was the first time you missed an interview the other day, but you had a good reason. I know you were looking at a wedding venue with your fiance. How did that all go? I got to ask, because I know you got to leave that stuff to the women when it comes to the wedding planning.
Yeah, I didn't have to be there because they were discussing like the tables and like the who wants to sit with who and all like things that I'm not really that interested in, but yeah. I promised that after the fight I would be a lot more involved, so had to be a man of my word. The only issue I had was the drive. It's about an hour and 40 minutes away from where we live, so that kind of sucked. But it was a great venue. I'm happy we got it and excited for the wedding.
And I imagine your family's going to be coming up from Illinois, right, to the wedding? Because it sounds like it's going to be in Colorado.
Yeah.
That's good.
I just wish the venue was a little bigger because there was so many people I wish I could invite, but we only got 150 because of the coronavirus and all that restrictions. Yeah. So that was hard. But besides that, it's been a fun experience.
Yeah. Speaking of fun experience, how about that win at 266? I know you didn't get the finish, but that was still a pretty dominant win over Rozenstruik. How happy were you with your performance? I thought it was, pretty good outside of getting the finish.
I mean, if I had to give myself a letter grade, it would be a solid B. Like, I didn't take any strikes besides the big knee he landed, and he did a great job disguising that with his footwork and motion. I didn't even see it. Those are the ones that get you, the ones you don't see. Mm-hmm. So that was. Besides that, I think I did a better job of evading him and being able to touch him and get out, and I did the takedowns. They were easier than we originally were thinking it would be, but his defensive grappling, he just did a great job of keeping his hand wrapped over the back of my neck, and I didn't do a good enough job of getting postures so I could really drop any elbows, and that's really my only complaint. I did everything else that we had planned on doing except the heavy ground and pound. So
gotcha. Okay.
So I give it to B. Yeah.
Was there any more pressure going into this fight with the fact it was your first, knockout loss? I know you've been knocked out by Ngannou, but first time you were knocked out cold in a fight. Was the mentality different going into this one? Maybe a little bit more pressure on your shoulders.
Well, there's always going to be pressure after a loss because you don't want to go on the streak. I've never had a losing streak, and that was the pressure for me. Mm-hmm. You don't want to get used to losing because then you forget how to win. So I just wanted to get back to what I do best, use my wrestling, and like I said, besides me not being able to get my posture and drop elbows, I think it was a great performance, and I don't know who's on the horizon though, because who knows what's happening with the landscape. I feel like that's always my assessment of the heavyweight division. Like, it's always weird because we don't know what's going on with John. I know he looks like a heavyweight now. I'll give him that. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going on with Stipe. We don't know, is he going to retire? Is he going into boxing? Like, is he just going to wait? I don't know. And then there's Derrick Lewis. He's got another fight already with a guy who was on my card, and I'm gonna be interested in that one, obviously. And maybe if the other guy wins, I fight him. who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the other thing with you as well is you're kind of in this weird spot where you've beat a lot of the heavyweights that are already in the division right now. So, I mean, in terms of fresh matchups, there's only like a few names that would sort of stick out there. Do you think the UFC might go that route? And because you mentioned the Daukaus fight, it's sort of a prospect against a veteran. The other prospect that's out there is Tom Aspinal. Do you think there's a possibility of them maybe matching him up against you? What are sort of your thoughts on, some of the up-and-comers in the division?
I do know about Aspinall. That's the British guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got great boxing, and I think in the last fight I watched, him versus Arlovsky, he got a rear naked, which is unexpected out of the boxer, but that just shows you how much more well-rounded the next generation is becoming. And yeah, who knows? That's also a possibility. Like you said, I'm in a weird spot where I've eaten a lot of the guys already, and I've already gotten beaten. Like, had I not lost to Derrick, there's a lot more options, but it is what it is. So we just have to wait and see how things start to turn out after the year goes on and we get more of these heavyweight matchups.
When would you like to get back in there? Like, because again, there's like a few opponents maybe out there for you, but a lot of people are booked. I don't know if you saw it this morning. It appears that Francis and Cyril Gahn appears to be booked for early next year. So at least that's getting moving. But do you want to try and get one more fight in, or are you kind of looking more towards next year just with the fact that, you just fought and it seems like a lot of fighters are booked right now?
Yeah, there's that. And I have to take off like a month. I can't really be in the gym. Well, I can be in the gym, but I can't have any contact. I have a slight orbital fracture.
Oh, right, because your eye. Okay, yeah, good point.
So there's also that. Like I'm not gonna be in tip top shape because usually after a fight I take off a week and I jump right back into it. But this is gonna be a bigger of a break, so I have to get back into tip top shape. So maybe January, February-ish. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that would make sense. The only bad part about that, I guess, is it kind of cuts into Christmas if you got to fight in January. But hey, can't sort of beg and choose there. When you mentioned we talked about the wedding off the top, when is that slated to happen? Is that, I imagine that's next year, obviously.
No. That's November 11th of this year.
Well, there you go. So then you get that done. Because I was going to say, I could see the fiance being like, okay, look, no fights. We don't have any bad wedding photos with you. Imagine your eye all busted up. That wouldn't look too good, right? So.
That was why we specifically asked for a September fight, because I knew potentially injuries happen. I would need at least a month to be right for the wedding. So that was a good decision, I think, in hindsight.
Yeah. Well, what did she say when you got the eye busted up? Was she a little worried? I mean, obviously it looks great. It looks great now, but what was her initial reaction to that?
She was like, is this going to be like this for the wedding? I'm like, no, that's in over a month. I'll be fine in a week. And it's been over a week, but the swelling went down after like.
I don't even notice it, to be honest. I think you're like Wolverine. You should have told her that. You're like, look, I'm like Wolverine. It'll be all good. We're cool there. So that's fine. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so that's good. So you got that to look forward to. You don't have any distractions about camp and all that. So probably, like you said, January, February, around there. What did you think of that Daukaus and Lewis matchup? I'll be honest, I was a little surprised only because of the fact that I figured with Lewis, he's probably looking at sort of, he's lost, two opportunities, I guess, at a title, one the real title and then the interim title. And now it's like, where does he want to go from here? The matchup makes sense, but I just think from Lewis's end, I can see that as a very dangerous matchup for him. And it's not, I don't really know where he'd go from there, right?
It is a dangerous matchup, but I think that he views it as I think he views it as the best option right now, because this is the guy who's going to strike with him. He's a little smaller than him. And I guess Derrick just believes he's going to be able to knock him out and get out of there early. And I think it's going to be a scrap. I think this guy, like, he's not like the basic heavyweights. Like, he knows how to use his feet. He doesn't do, like, the plotting type of thing. He's always off his heels. He uses his jab well. So I'm interested in that matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting one for the division. And by the way, at the time of recording this, I believe that fight is not actually signed. So the UFC announced it. Brett Okamoto tweeted out it was happening. Kyle Daukaus, Chris's brother, said, we haven't signed anything, because obviously Chris was there helping Kyle for his fight against Kevin Holland. And as of this week, I spoke to Kyle. Fight's still not signed. It's probably going to happen, but has that ever happened to you where a fight's been announced and you haven't signed anything?
Yeah. I didn't get the contract for this last fight until a month out.
Wow.
And we knew about this since June. So yeah, that happens a lot actually. I hear guys in the gym all the time, yeah, haven't got the contract yet. I'm like, okay, well, don't worry, it's on the way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they just drag a little ass. I don't know why, but yeah, that does happen.
Speaking of titles, how excited were you to see Cory Sandhagen get that title shot against Petr Yan? Obviously, unfortunate what happened to Aljamin Sterling, but huge opportunity there for Cory, your teammate.
Very happy. I wish I could be at that one, but we'll be in Chicago that weekend. But yeah, I'm excited for him. I think he's got a great chance to win. I think he matches up with Jan almost everywhere. I think his grappling is underrated. Like, I watch him, like, he's got some slick shit. He's got some ninja shit. So I think if the grappling's there, obviously we know the striking's there. We know the footwork, the head movement, the conditioning. We just saw him go rounds with TJ, like hard. And that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a war. But I think it's time he can get the victory.
And what did you make of the whole thing with Sterling having to withdraw? He had that neck surgery, so, it wasn't cleared by the doctors, but fans are obviously, kind of being weird about the whole thing, saying he should be stripped. Just your thoughts on that, where fans are kind of saying, fake champion, he's ducking, all this stuff. Because, you had that too on social media, where people, you had that guy call you after you got knocked out.
Yeah. MMA fans sometimes are a little overly reactionary, and they let their emotions do the speaking. And I'm sure sometimes they regret what they say in the heat of the moment, because I don't agree with them. I don't think he should be stripped of his title. If the man's injured, why would he lie? Why would you not want to defend your title and prove to everyone that you deserve it? I think, yeah, the nerve. I read an article. He said at this point he can only do like a few rounds in a row before like he starts to lose feeling, and the fatigue starts to get to him. You want to be your best. It's hard to go out there and like hey, if I don't get this guy out of this cage within the first 2 rounds, I don't know what's going to happen. That's a lot. That's really scary. So I can't blame him for just wanting to be healthy. And I hope he does get back healthy. I hope he does get the opportunity to go out there and at least get a chance. Like, he might lose, he might win, but I don't want him to get stripped. I think that's unnecessary.
Yeah. And my view, and kind of Ariel said this in his interview with Cory, is that, title's not being defended for a year. Fair enough, if there's injuries and things like that, but we're, a couple months removed. And again, I know fans are going to be even me upset as saying this, which is crazy, but that's it is what it is. Your reaction, we had some news, obviously, I think the night before your fight, or it was a while back, Jon Jones getting arrested. As someone who's got a family, and, we've seen Jon get arrested before, just your thoughts on on him getting arrested and the allegations that came out after.
It's hard to watch. Like, he could be the LeBron of MMA, but he's just had all the legal issues, and that's even without the PEDs. He's had some major legal issues, and I think it's the alcohol. Like, I think he probably needs to remove alcohol from his life, which is that's not for me to tell him, but that's just what I think. And I think he needs a better group of like homies. Like, whoever he's hanging out with, they are not good friends. Like, if I'm hanging out with Jon Jones in Vegas, bro, we're going home at 11:30. You can't be out, because I can't even give you the benefit of the doubt. We're going home. So yeah, I just think he needs to remove alcohol and maybe remove some of the enablers out of his life.
Do you think, though, with some of the details that came out, some alleged domestic violence and then his son saying call the police, like, do you think this is the one thing that could potentially get Jon cut from the UFC? Like, he's pushed his limit as it is, but when you hear domestic violence, it's usually a sign of, maybe parting ways with the organization.
I mean, I think the UFC, Dana, Hunter, I think they're definitely like having conversations about it, but I don't know. It's honestly 50-50. That's how amazing he is. Even with all this, even with the domestic, like, it's still 50-50. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they did release him, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did. And even if they did release him, would it be a permanent release? Would it just like a suspension? I don't know.
Yeah. And before we get out of here, I saw you promoting something with Terry Bradshaw. What was that all about on your Instagram? I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah, my dad, who runs my Team Blaydes website, I guess he reached out to the Terry Bradshaw. He's having a new reality TV show that actually premieres tonight at 9 p.m. Central on E. And I guess just about him and what he does on a daily basis, him and his family. He's got 3 daughters and he's got a wife. And from what I know, I watched about half an episode. It was on Peacock, which is like a streaming network. I don't know if you guys have that, but
I've heard of it. Yeah, we don't have it in Canada. We're sheltered.
But yeah, it's a wholesome show about him being a dad, him being a husband, and I just think it's really. I'm a football guy, so that's why I'm interested. I don't know if everyone else is interested in the life of Bradshaw, but he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I'll watch anything with some NFL mixed into it.
Yeah, I got to check that out. Before we go, I think I asked you this before, but I got to refresh my memory here. Who's going to be at your wedding that is from the MMA community, like any of your teammates or anyone in your wedding party at all?
Austin's going to be one of my best men. Neil Magny's going to be there. Drew, Gaethje, pretty much everyone at the gym. Not Usman, because
he's got his fight. Yeah.
I didn't even think to invite him, but yeah, he was like, "Yo, where's my?" I was like, "Oh, my bad."
Actually, come to think of it, Gaethje's fighting the same night as him, so that's not an excuse either. So I guess you snubbed Usman. The truth has come out.
It just slipped my mind. It really did.
Is his brother coming though? Is Muhammad coming, or is both Usman's brothers not coming?
No, it slipped my mind. It really did, because the list, I only get to pick 75 people, so it's a small list. Like I said, I wish we didn't have all the corona going on right now, and that I could have a giant wedding, because it was hard to decide like who gets to come and who doesn't. And yeah, pretty much all the gym, like all the guys that's in there for years, but not Usman.
Interesting. What about is Overeem going to go?
No, he's not going to be in the country.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's probably back home. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not going to be here. But I did ask him. I was like, hey, you want to come? He's like, yeah, I'd like to be there. But after his fight, October 25th, I think he's going to just hang out in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to say, at the very least, just use him as security if anyone drinks too much, right? He would be a pretty imposing guy. So there you go. Curtis, thanks so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone at my gym, Elevation. I'd like to thank my coaches, my striking coach, Vinny Lopez, my jiu-jitsu professor, Cody.
You got another call? Yeah, there you go. You're good.
Yeah, my bad. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Wolfpack. I'd like to thank my family for helping out a lot with my business over the last few months, because I haven't been as involved as I wish I could be. And I'd like to thank my fiance. She really helped me with my diet this camp. She put a lot of energy into my meal prepping and just being on me about it. So